Jai Gurudev and Namaste. Today we delve into the intricate character of Eurus Holmes from Sherlock and explore how her story resonates with the Vedic teachings. Joining us are an esteemed art of living expert and an officer from the Vedic themselves. Namaste. It's a pleasure to be here, Jai Gurudev. I'm honored to share insights on this fascinating topic. Eurus Holmes is portrayed as an emotionally detached genius. How does her character reflect aspects of the human psyche from a Vedic perspective? Euros embodies the intellect devoid of emotional intelligence. In Vedic terms, this represents an imbalance between the manas or mind and buddhi or intellect. When the heart is disconnected, the intellect can become destructive. Indeed, her isolation and emotional suppression mirror the consequences of neglecting sattva or purity and harmony. The Vedas emphasize the integration of knowledge with compassion. How do the sibling relationships in Sherlock compare to those in Vedic narratives? In the Ramayana, Shanta, the sister of Rama, was given an adoption leading to a separation from her family. Similarly, Eurus was isolated due to her perceived dangers. Both stories highlight the impact of familial separation in the Mahabharata. Subhadra shares a close bond with her brothers Krishna and Balarama. Their relationship is marked by mutual respect and support, contrasting with the Holmes' siblings' lack of emotional connection. How can Vedic practices help individuals integrate intellect and emotion as seen lacking in Euros? Practices like Sudarshan Kriya help release deep seated emotional blocks, promoting mental clarity and emotional balance. Sandhya Vandanam, performed thrice daily, aligns the individual with natural rhythms, fostering mindfulness and inner harmony. What is the significance of rituals like Agni Karyam, Upanayana, and Gayatri Japa in emotional healing? Agnikaram symbolizes the offering of one's ego into the fire of transformation. Upanayana marks the initiation into spiritual learning. Gayatri Japa purifies the mind, enhancing focus and inner peace. Chanting mantras like the Gayatri mantra elevates consciousness, reduces stress, and fosters a sense of connection with the universe. How do seva or selfless service in satsang or spiritual gatherings contribute to emotional well being? Engaging in seva shifts from self centeredness to community welfare, reducing feelings of isolation. Satsang provides a supportive environment for sharing and healing. These practices cultivate empathy, compassion, and a sense of belonging essential for emotional resilience. Could you elaborate on advanced practices like Padma Sadhana, Shakti Kriya, and Sanyam Sadhana? Padma Sadhana combines yoga postures with breath work, enhancing physical and mental flexibility. Shakti Kriya awakens inner energy, promoting vitality. Sanyam Sadhana involves deep meditation, fostering self awareness and control over the senses. What is the importance of Trikal Sandhya in daily life? Trikal Sandhya refers to meditative practices at dawn, noon, and dusk. These times are energetically potent, and aligning with them harmonizes the individual's internal rhythms with nature, promoting balance and clarity. How do mantra chanting and shloka recitation aid in emotional healing? Chanting mantras creates vibrational patterns that calm the mind and nervous system. Regular practice can alleviate anxiety and foster inner peace. Shloka recitation connects individuals to ancient wisdom, instilling values and providing guidance during challenging times. In summary, how can individuals apply these teachings to avoid pitfalls seen in Euros's character? By incorporating daily practices like Sudarshan Kriya, Seva, and Satsang, individuals can maintain emotional balance and prevent isolation. Engaging in rituals, mantra chanting, and aligning with natural rhythms through Trikal Sandhya fosters a holistic approach to well being, integrating intellect and emotional harmoniously. Thank you both for sharing these profound insights, Jagadev. So, how does Eurus Holmes' character reflect the concept of avidya or ignorance in Vedic philosophy? Eurus embodies avidya by being intellectually brilliant yet emotionally disconnected. Her lack of emotional understanding leads to suffering, illustrating how knowledge without wisdom can result in imbalance. What Vedic lesson can we learn from Eurus' isolation? Her isolation underscores the importance of Sangha or community. The Vedas emphasize the role of community and relationships in personal growth and emotional well being. How do the sibling relationships in Vedic texts differ from that of Euros, Sherlock, and Mycroft? In Vedic texts, siblings like Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra exhibit deep emotional bonds and mutual respect. Their relationships are nurturing, contrasting with the Holmes' siblings' strained interactions. What can modern families learn from these Vedic sibling relationships? They teach the value of emotional support, open communication, and shared responsibilities among siblings, fostering harmony and collective growth. How does pranayama aid in emotional regulation? Pranayama involves controlled breathing techniques that calm the nervous system, reduce stress, and enhance emotional stability, promoting overall mental clarity. What is the role of satsang in personal development? Satsang, gathering of like minded individuals for spiritual discourse, provides a supportive environment that encourages self reflection, learning, and emotional healing. How can pujas and homas contribute to emotional well being? These rituals create a sacred space for introspection and connection with the divine, facilitating the release of negative emotions and fostering inner peace. What is the significance of seva or selfless service in overcoming personal challenges? Engaging in seva shifts focus from personal struggles to the welfare of others, cultivating empathy, reducing ego, and promoting a sense of purpose and fulfillment. How does Trikal Sandhya help in maintaining daily balance? Performing Trikal Sandhya prayers at dawn, noon, and dusk aligns individuals with natural rhythms, encouraging regular reflection and mindfulness throughout the day. What benefits does Gayatri Japa offer in managing stress? Chanting the Gayatri Mantra focuses the mind, reduces anxiety, and enhances cognitive functions, serving as a powerful tool for stress management and emotional resilience. So, how does Eurus Holmes' character reflect the concept of avidya? And what Vedic lesson can we learn from Eurus' isolations? And how do the sibling relationships in Vedic texts differ from that of Eurus, Sherlock, and Mycroft? Yes, they teach the value of emotional support, open communication, and shared responsibilities among siblings, fostering harmony and collective growth. How does pranayama aid in emotional regulation? Pranayama involves controlled breathing techniques that calm the nervous system, reduce stress, and enhance emotional stability, promoting overall mental clarity. What is the role of satsang in personal development? Satsang, gathering with like minded individuals for spiritual discourse, provides a supportive environment that encourages self reflection, learning, and emotional healing. How can pujas and homas contribute to emotional well being? These rituals create a sacred space for introspection and connection with the divine, facilitating the release of negative emotions and fostering inner peace. What is the significance of seva or selfless service in overcoming personal challenges? Engaging in seva shifts focus from personal struggles to the welfare of others, cultivating empathy, reducing ego, and promoting a sense of purpose and fulfillment. How does the Trikal Sandhya help in maintaining daily balance? Performing Trikal Sandhya prayers at dawn, noon, and dusk aligns individuals with the natural rhythms, encouraging regular reflection and mindfulness throughout the day. What benefits does Gayatri Japa offer in managing stress? Chanting the Gayatri Mantra focuses the mind, reduces anxiety, and enhances cognitive function, serving as a powerful tool for stress management and emotional resilience. Euro shows how repressed emotions explode later, which daily practice begins dissolving such repression. So, Darshan Priya, it's a cyclical breathing de-archives stress hormones held since childhood, giving the psyche room to process instead of suppress. Sherlock finally listens to Euros with empathy, which a Vedic value is that Karuna, compassion. In Sandhya Vandanam, we pray Astradam Sarvam Karunamai. May all that is unseen be embraced with compassion. Euros manipulates others to feel connection. How can pranayama redirect that craving? By lengthening the exhalation in Nadi Shodhan pranayama, the vagus nerve activates social engagement circuits, giving real connection instead of control games. Mycroft's secrecy backfires, which mantra teaches truthful transparency. The Mama Brahma Nirakaha line of the Upanishad prayer, may I never deny truth nor truth deny me. Euros test moral limits. How does regular seva prepare us for ethical crisis? Serving strangers rewires the brain's default toward altruism, so when a sudden test appears, we respond, not calculate. Sherlock's violent duet heals years of distance, which Vedic practice mirrors healing by resonance. Gayatri Japa, the sonic architecture of the mantra, entrains mind and emotion into coherence, just as music entrained the siblings. Euros cannot name her feelings, which Kriya builds Sahaj natural emotional vocabulary. Padma Sadhana, the rhythmic flow of seated postures with the breathing surface and subtle sensations you can finally label. What single Sanskrit word opens a Euros' inner storm? Vikshepa, the scattering of mind that blocks stillness, which Upanishadic line offers an antidote. Atmavav or Drastavya, turn inward and see the self, and which practical tool turns that verse into daily experience? Sahat Samadhi meditation, effortless mantra based stillness. How is Subhadra a positive foil to Euros? Subhadra's brothers listened. Krishna saw her wishes. Balaram protected her. Listening prevented isolation. What ritual honors that listening in families? A simple Raksha Bandham with Sankalpa, sister ties thread, a brother vows to listen before he protects her. Shanta was forgotten like Euros, yet she became mother of she became the wife of Risha Shringa. What turned her pain to purpose? Participating in the Putra Kamishti Yagya gave her a role larger than the wound. Which modern equivalent yagya can urban seekers do? Homa for environment, Agnihotra at sunrise, sunset, a small fire, a big meaning, a homas in the Pratap Ganpati Temple in Art of Living International Center can also be a big asset as a homam. Balram's grounding energy calm Krishna's leelas. What practice cultivates that Balaram balance? Shita Pragya developed through Sanyam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2 with deep silence retreats are a great example. Give a Sherlock era anecdote illustrating such grounding. When John Watson simply sat with Sherlock after Mary's video message, he was Balarama's silent stabilizer. Which verse from the Gita captures sibling dharma? Loka Sangraha Meva Api Sampashyan Kartum Arhasi act for the welfare of the family of mankind. How do we rehearse a Loka Sangraha at home? Weekly satsang where each sibling shares wins and wounds and chants dissolving hierarchy. Is there a pranayama just for siblings? Mitra pranayam, inhale together for fold, hold twin, exhale together for six, build synchronicity. One takeaway line from siblings everywhere. Celebrate differences and synchronize the breath. That is the hallmark of the art of living. Jai Gurudev. So, if you had to distill the entire Euros Holmes arc and the Vedic response to it into one Sanskrit sutra or shloka, what would it be and how is it resolved? It would be this piercing verse from the Mahopanishad, the Vasudeva Kutumam. The whole world is one family. Euros was forgotten by her family, then turned monstrous. But then when her brother finally remembered her, saw her pain and acknowledged it, not with weapons but with music, that family began to heal. And this sutra is not just metaphorical. In every Upanishadic yagya, we offer oblations with the intention that may all beings be happy. This is not spiritual sentiment, it is psychological alchemy. And if the Art of Living Foundation had one teaching that could have saved Euros at age 5, what would it be? That even a genius child must learn the art of silence. From the silence springs self-worth, not because others clap, but because you can sit with yourself. That's what Sudarshan Kriya brings. Even to the most overreactive, intelligent, restless minds, it would have taught Euros that the storm is not her enemy, the breath is not her prison, and music is not a puzzle, it is a portal. As Sherlock plays a haunting tune on the violin, the walls of Eurus' prison dissolve not physically but emotionally. She leans against her brother's shoulder not as a manipulator or a genius or adversity, but as a child who was lost and is now being seen. In the ancient science of the self, this moment is called darsana, to be seen truly when the gaze of the heart lands on the wound, and instead of judging it, it holds it not with logic, not with force, but with presence. This is where healing begins, and that is where the art of living truly lives. In Eurus' story, there is a deep trauma hidden behind. In Eurus' story, there is a deep trauma hidden behind intelligence. How do ancient Vedic practices address suppressed trauma masked by brilliance? This is where Sudarshan Kriya and Sanyam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2 play a vital role. Trauma often resides in the subtle layers of a nervous system. A person may appear brilliant externally like Eurus, yet feel utterly alone and fragmented within. Breathing techniques combined with stillness and meditation allow those suppressed impressions to surface and dissolve without analysis or verbalization. What's the Sanskrit term that captures the idea of hidden emotional turbulence behind calm exteriors? That would be manonasha, destruction of the mind's as false projections. Euros had constructed a fortress of puzzles and mind games in yoga. These are called vikshepas, distracting mental modifications. Spiritual disciplines like Sandhya Vandanam and Gayatri Japa pacify these fluctuations. The violin in the final scenes becomes a bridge of connection. Are there Vedic parallels to this symbolism? Absolutely, the Veena of Saraswati Devi is symbolic of harmony and inner tuning. Like Sherlock's violin, it is not for entertainment but transformation. Sound, especially Nada Yoga and chanting, shifts the energy of a disturbed mind. The violin, in that sense, scene became Om in action. Sherlock's intelligence failed him until he accessed emotional intelligence. How can that transition be trained? Through seva, when a person applies their intellect in service of others, ego dissolves and heart opens. Seva builds emotional resilience and intuitive clarity, especially in those who can lean heavily on logic. What lesson does the Euros, the arc, give about the consequences of ignoring family bonds? Ignoring relationships leads to inner fragmentation. In Vedic tradition, Balaram, Krishna, Subhadra are symbols of sibling harmony and divine roles. When neglected like Shanta in Ramayana or Euros in Sherlock, the soul suffers despite its gifts. How does the Ramayana's story of Shanta and her brothers mirror Eurus' narrative? Shanta, the sister of Rama, was separated for a greater good, married off for a noble purpose, but unlike Eurus, she was remembered with respect and reverence. Vedic stories teach even distance can deep love if done with intention and heart, not neglect. How can modern siblings learn from Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra trio? Through inclusion and dialogue, Subhadra's members, supported by Krishna, protected Arjuna. It shows emotional intelligence in siblings can lead to societal dharma being fulfilled. This is opposite of the Holmes' family breakdown. In practical terms, what can parents do to avoid a Euros like disconnect in their families? Engage children in trikals and family chanting rituals. When the family prays together morning, noon, and evening, it builds invisible emotional threads. This is called samskara bandharam, the spiritual threads of unity. How does daily mantra chanting help those with turbulent minds? Mantras work on the subconscious layer, just like Euros was haunted by suppressed sound. The plane the child's cries, mantras reprogram inner sounds with divine resonance. Gayatri Japa purifies intellect of buddhi and removes obsessive thoughts. If a Sherlock were in the Art of Living retreat, what practices would help him the most? Padma sadhana would help him to release physical stress, Sudarshan Kriya to reset nervous system, and silence retreat to develop emotional intelligence, and satsang to open the heart, seva to channel his genius into compassion. Euros's emotional isolation is a key factor in her behavior. How do Vedic teachings emphasize emotional connection in siblings? In Vedic culture, siblings are not just relatives but spiritual allies. The story of Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra shows how mutual support fosters strength and wisdom. Practices like Sandhyavandanam performed together reinforce these bonds, creating emotional harmony. How can siblings today apply these lessons in busy modern lives? Regularly practicing mantra chanting and meditation together helps siblings stay emotionally connected, even if physically apart. Intentional seva projects as a family build a shared purpose and deepen relationships. What role does forgiveness play in healing fractured sibling ties like those shown in Euros' story? Forgiveness is central to Sanyam sadhana of level 1 and level 2, the discipline of restraint and acceptance. It removes mental blocks or riddhi and opens the heart to unconditional love. Just as Sherlock's acceptance of Euros's pain ultimately led to healing, how do chanting and pujas contribute to emotional balance in families? Chanting sacred shlokas and participating in pujas and homas invoke positive energies that cleanse emotional negativity. This creates an environment where empathy and understanding can flourish, crucial for sensitive siblings. Are there specific pujas recommended to foster sibling harmony? The Lakshmi Ganesh Puja is very powerful for family harmony and removal of obstacles. Additionally, Saraswati Puja enhances communication and wisdom between siblings. In Eurus' story, music was a healing bridge. How does Vedic tradition use music therapeutically? Music is a sacred in Vedic science called Nada Yoga, the yoga of sound, singing mantras, playing instruments like the veena or flute, and listening to ragas balance mind and emotions deeply, just like Sherlock's violin connected him to Euros's inner world. What daily practices can help manage intense emotional states like Euros's? Trikals and their ritual prayers 3 times a day stabilize mental rhythms, and Shakti Kriya awakens inner energy and dispels mental turbulence. Meditation creates awareness and detachment from destructive emotions. What lessons does the story offer about the importance of family acknowledgement? Recognition and love from family nourish the Atman, the inner self. Euros's pain stemmed largely from feeling unseen. Daily rituals like Upanayana and Sandhyavandanam symbolize and reinforce the recognition of each person's divine nature within the family. How do seva and satsang help in overcoming personal emotional blocks? Seva shifts from focus from I to we, breaking egoic patterns. Satsang surrounds the mind with positive vibrations and wisdom, uplifting from darkness, much needed for those with the inner struggles like Euros. Finally, what advice would you give to families dealing with difficult sibling relationships? Be patient and consistent. Integrate small daily habits like chanting Gayatri Mantra, doing Trikal Sandhya, and spending quiet time together. Remember, healing is a process. Just as Sherlock's patience with Euros led to a breakthrough, so can sustained spiritual practices foster deep reconciliation. How does the practice of Agni Karyam help in purifying family dynamics, especially in challenging relationships? like Euros and her brothers. Agni-Karan, the sacred fire ritual, symbolizes the transformation of negative emotions into positive energy. It purifies the atmosphere and mind, helping family members release resentment, anger, and misunderstandings, which are barriers to harmony. Can you explain the significance of Upanayana and Sandhya in the context of sibling relationships? Upanayana is a sacred thread ceremony that initiates an individual into spiritual life and responsibility. Sandhya the ritual prayers at dawn, noon, and dusk, cultivate discipline and mindfulness. Together, they foster respect for self and others, including siblings, creating a foundation for balanced relationships. How does the Gayatri Mantra specifically aid in emotional healing and clarity? Yes, the Gayatri Mantra is a powerful invocation of divine light and wisdom. Regular chanting sharpens the intellect, calms the mind, and promotes clarity, which helps in understanding others' perspectives and resolving conflicts peacefully. In Euros' story, isolation was profound. How can meditation help those feeling isolated within families? Meditation helps connect to the inner self and the universal consciousness, transcending physical and emotional isolation. It creates a sense of inner peace and belonging that is independent of external validation. What role do pujas and homas play in creating a supportive family environment? Pujas and homas invoke divine blessings and harmonize the energies within the home. Regular observance can reduce conflicts, enhance understanding, and cultivate an atmosphere of love and respect. Can seva or selfless service transform sibling relationships, and how? Yes, seva redirects focus from ego to compassion. When siblings serve together, they build trust and empathy, breaking down barriers caused by pride or misunderstandings. How does Padma Sadhana help in emotional regulation or sensitive individuals like Euros? Padma Sadhana combines physical postures and breath control, balancing the nervous system. It enhances emotional stability and resilience, which is essential for managing overwhelming feelings. What insights do the stories of Balaram, Krishna, and Subhadra provide for sibling support? The stories highlight unconditional love, mutual protection, and complementary strengths. Siblings can learn to honor each other's unique qualities while standing united. How do rituals like Trikal Sandhya strengthen the spiritual bonds in families? These thrice daily prayers synchronize family members to the rhythms of nature and cosmos, fostering unity, shared purpose, and collective spiritual growth. Finally, what daily spiritual habits would you recommend to families seeking deeper connection and healing? Start and end the day with mantra chanting and meditation. Engage in weekly seva activities together and celebrate festivals and pujas mindfully. Practice Sudarshan Kriya for stress relief and maintain open, honest communication rooted in empathy. How does Sudarshan Kriya specifically help individuals dealing with the intense emotional trauma like Euros? Sudarshan Kriya harmonizes the breath and nervous system, rapidly reducing stress and calming the mind. This practice allows a person to process trauma with a greater clarity and resilience, facilitating emotional healing. In the context of brother sister relationships, how can mindfulness and meditation create empathy? Meditation cultivates awareness of one's own emotions and those of others. When siblings meditate together or share mindfulness practices, they develop deeper empathy, patience, and respect, much like the supportive bond between Shanta and her brothers. What role does wisdom from satsang play in resolving complex family conflicts? Satsang or spiritual discourse brings insights that transcend personal biases. It encourages humility and understanding, helping family members see beyond surface conflicts to the deeper spiritual lessons within Jai Gurudev.